The stars shone brightly above New Horizon Colony. Lily Carter sat on the roof of her family's home, gazing up at the night sky. At 10 years old, she already knew all the major constellations visible from their terraformed planet. Her father had taught her well. "Lily, time to come inside," called her mother, Susan, from below. "5 more minutes, please," Lily asked, her eyes still fixed on a particularly bright star that seemed to be moving. Jack Carter climbed up to join his daughter. He was a tall man with kind eyes and a scientist's curious mind. "What are you looking at, kiddo?" Lily pointed. "That star. It's moving funny." Jack frowned and pulled out his pocket telescope. After a moment of adjustment, his body stiffened. "That's not a star." The year was 2157. Humanity had spread beyond Earth, establishing colonies on Mars, Europa, and a handful of distant exoplanets. New Horizon was the newest and farthest human settlement, populated mainly by scientists and their families. The next morning, colony alarms blared through the streets. Lily jumped out of bed and ran to the window. People were rushing about, some carrying equipment, others looking up at the sky with worried faces. "Jack, they're getting closer," Susan said, rushing into Lily's room. She was still wearing her lab coat from the night shift at the medical center. Jack turned on the news screen. The colony governor appeared, her face serious. "Citizens of New Horizon, we have detected multiple unidentified vessels approaching our planet. We have attempted communication but received no response. As a precaution, please gather essential items and prepare for possible evacuation." Lily clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit. "Are they aliens, Dad?" Jack nodded slowly. "It seems so, honey. The first contact with non-human intelligence. In any other circumstance, this would be amazing." In the Colony Command Center, Governor Paula Reed studied the approaching ships. "Any response to our messages?" "Nothing, Governor," replied Communications Officer Ben Miller. "But we're picking up transmissions between their vessels. It's like nothing we've ever heard." On the lead ship, General Kraz Hull stood tall, his scaled skin gleaming under the ship's lights. 4 arms crossed over his armored chest as he observed the small human colony through the view screen. "Pathetic," he growled to his second in command. "These humans have barely left their home system." "Our scouts report their weapons technology is primitive, General," said Officer Draz. "They will fall quickly." Krasthol's mouth split into what passed for a smile among Vraxians. "The Vraxian Empire grows once more. Prepare the landing forces." Back on New Horizon, Lily helped her parents pack emergency supplies. The family photo album, food, water, medicines, and her father's prototype universal translator, which he slipped around Lily's neck. "Keep this safe," Jack said. "It might come in handy." Susan looked worried. "The evacuation shuttles can't possibly fit everyone." Outside, the sky darkened as massive ships descended through the atmosphere. They were angular and threatening, with glowing symbols etched into their dark hulls. Colony security forces, mostly scientists with basic training, took up defensive positions, but their fear was obvious. This wasn't what they had signed up for. The first shots came without warning. Green energy beams sliced through buildings and defense posts. People screamed and ran for cover. "We need to get to the evacuation center," Jack shouted, grabbing Lily's hand. They ran through chaos-filled streets. Other families joined them, all rushing toward the colony's central hub where the emergency shuttles waited. A massive explosion rocked the ground. Lily fell, her hand slipping from her father's grip. When she looked up, a wall of debris separated her from her parents. "Mom, Dad," she screamed, but the roar of falling buildings and energy weapons drowned her voice. Through a gap in the rubble, she saw her parents being herded away by tall, 4-armed aliens carrying energy weapons. Lily froze in terror, clutching her stuffed rabbit and the translator around her neck. Then she heard children crying nearby. Instinct took over. She crawled through a small drainage pipe that adults couldn't fit through and found 3 other kids hiding in the colony's hydroponic gardens. "We need to hide," she whispered, leading them deeper into the underground facility. Above them, General Kraz Thol planted his foot on New Horizon soil and inhaled deeply. "Another world for the Empire," he declared, watching as his soldiers rounded up the human adults. "Begin processing them for labor assignment." Little did he know that beneath his feet, a small human child was already planning his downfall. Lily led the small group deeper into the hydroponic gardens. The air was humid and smelled of earth and growing things. Tall shelves of vegetables and fruits lined the walls, and water pipes ran along the ceiling. It was dark except for the purple grow lights that cast strange shadows. "I'm scared," whispered a small boy with red hair and freckles. "Me too," Lily admitted, "but we need to be quiet." "I'm Lily. What's your name?" "Zach," the boy said. "Zach Peterson." "Those were aliens, right? Real aliens?" The other 2 children introduced themselves as twins Maya and Sam Wright. They both had dark curly hair and were about Lily's age. "My parents were taken," Sam said, his voice shaking. "Mine too," Lily replied. "But we'll find them. First, we need a safe place to hide." Over the next few days, they discovered 2 more children hiding in the colony. Noah Garcia, who knew all about computers, and little Olivia Martinez, who was only 8 but knew every hiding place in the colony because her mother worked in maintenance. The children made a base in an old storage room connected to the maintenance tunnels. They collected food from the gardens and water from the pipes. They found blankets and made beds on the floor. Noah managed to hook up a small screen so they could watch what was happening in the colony. Meanwhile, General Kraz Thol stood in what used to be the governor's office. He towered over the human furniture, his 4 arms gesturing as he spoke to his officers. "These humans are weaker than we thought," he said. "Their bodies break easily, but they seem to be intelligent enough for simple tasks." Officer Draz nodded. "The adult specimens have been cataloged. Most will make good workers in the mining colonies." "What about their technology?" Kraz Thol asked. "Primitive, but some interesting ideas. Their medical science is surprisingly advanced." Kraz Thol walked to the window and looked out at the colony, now filled with Vraxian soldiers. "Have all humans been accounted for?" Draz hesitated. "All adults are in holding cells. We found some small humans. Children, they call them. But our scanners show there may be more hiding somewhere." "Children." Kraz Thol laughed, a harsh grating sound. "They are no threat. Find them if you can, but focus on preparing the adults for transport." In their hidden base, Lily and the others watched the screen as their parents and other adults were marched into large holding pens. The aliens were huge compared to human adults, with scaly skin in shades of green and gray. Their 4 arms ended in clawed hands, and their faces had wide mouths filled with sharp teeth. "My dad gave me this before we got separated," Lily said, showing the others her translator necklace. "He was working on it to talk with animals. But maybe it works for aliens too." She turned it on and pointed it toward the screen. Strange clicking and hissing sounds came from the device. Then it began to translate in a flat computer voice. "Transport ships arrive in 2 weeks," it said, translating a Vraxian officer's words. "All human specimens will be distributed to labor planets." 2 weeks, Zach whispered. "That's how long we have to save everyone." Lily nodded, clutching her rabbit tighter. "We need to learn more about these aliens, what they want, what they're afraid of, how their technology works." Noah raised his hand like they were still in school. "I can try to hack into the colony systems, maybe get access to security cameras." "I know all the air ducts," Olivia added. "We can spy on them." For the first time since the invasion, Lily felt a small spark of hope. "We're just kids, but they don't know the colony like we do. They think we're hiding and scared." "We are scared," Maya pointed out. "Yes," Lily agreed, "but we're not just hiding anymore. From now on, we're fighting back." That night, While General Kraz Full slept in the governor's quarters, 6 small humans crept through the air ducts and maintenance tunnels of New Horizon Colony. They watched, they listened, they planned. And in the darkness, they made a promise to each other and to their captured parents. The invaders would regret ever coming to their home. 3 weeks had passed since the Vraxians took over New Horizon. The 6 children had turned their hidden base into a proper home. Noah had connected more screens to watch different parts of the colony. Zach and the twins organized their food supplies. Olivia drew detailed maps of all the tunnels and vents. And Lily listened to the aliens through her translator, learning more every day. They're called Vraxians, Lily told the others during their morning meeting. They come from a planet with 3 suns. That's why the lights in the colony don't bother them. They're used to much brighter light. I found something interesting, Noah said, pushing his glasses up. Watch this. He showed them footage of a Vraxian soldier dropping his weapon and covering his ears when a piece of machinery made a high-pitched noise. They have really good hearing, Noah explained. Much better than humans, but that means some sounds hurt them that don't bother us. We can use that, Lily said, thinking hard. Zach raised his hand. I've been watching them eat. They never touch the food with their lower arms, only the upper ones. It's like some kind of rule. Good noticing, Zach, Lily said. Every bit of information helps. That afternoon, Lily and Olivia crawled through a narrow vent to spy on General Krastful's command room. Lily held her translator close to her ear. The transport ships will arrive in 9 days. Krastful was saying to his officers, prepare the humans. I want no delays. One officer stepped forward. General, we still have not located all the small humans. Our scanners detect movement in areas too small for our soldiers to enter. Krastful made a dismissive gesture with his lower arms. They are nothing, probably hiding and slowly starving. Focus on the important tasks. When they returned to base, Lily called everyone together. We have 9 days before our parents are taken away, she said. It's time to start fighting back. But how? Maya asked. We're just kids. Lily smiled. That's our advantage. They think we're weak and scared. They don't expect us to do anything. Plus, we're small enough to go places they can't. They made a plan. First, they needed to know more about Vraxian technology. Noah would try to access their computer systems. Second, they needed to find a way to talk to the adult prisoners. Third, they needed to start causing trouble, but carefully. The next day, strange things began happening around the colony. Tools disappeared from Vraxian work areas. Water pipes leaked in soldiers' sleeping quarters. Food supplies were mysteriously moved from one storage area to another. Small annoyances, but they began to add up. Who is responsible for these failures? Krastful demanded, slamming all 4 fists on his desk. System malfunctions, General, an officer reported nervously. The human colony was not built to our standards. Meanwhile, Noah made an important discovery. I got into their ship's computer, he told the others excitedly. They use light patterns as passwords. I watched an officer log in and memorize the pattern. Can you control anything? Lily asked. Not yet, Noah admitted, but I can read some of their files. They have maps of other human colonies they plan to attack next. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She slipped out alone and made her way to the holding pens where the adults were kept. Through a small crack in the wall, she finally saw her parents. They looked tired but alive. Her father was comforting her mother, his arm around her shoulders. Lily wanted so badly to call out to them, but she knew it would alert the guards. As she watched, she noticed a human woman working in the medical area. The Vraxians seemed to be letting her treat sick prisoners. Dr. Winters, Lily whispered, recognizing the colony's chief medical officer. A plan began forming in Lily's mind. If they could get a message to Dr. Winters, maybe she could help them from the inside. And if Noah could access the Vraxian computers, maybe they could do more than just cause small problems. For the first time, Lily began to believe they might actually have a chance to save everyone. Lily waited until night when most Vraxians were sleeping. Their hearing might be good, but their eyesight wasn't great in darkness. She crawled through the narrow pipes to the medical area. Dr. Winters was alone, organizing supplies. Dr. Winters, Lily whispered from a small vent near the floor. The doctor jumped, then looked around nervously. "Who's there?" "It's me, Lily Carter. I'm in the vent." Dr. Winters knelt down, pretending to pick something up from the floor. "Lily, you're alive. Are there other children?" "Yes, 5 others. We're hiding in the maintenance tunnels. We need your help." They spoke quickly. Dr. Winters had been studying Vraxian biology while treating human patients. She shared valuable information. "Their hearing is extremely sensitive to high frequencies," she whispered, "and they hate certain smells that humans can barely notice. Also, they need more water than we do. Without enough, they get confused and weak." Lily told her about their plan to rescue everyone. "That's a lot for children to take on," Dr. Winters said worriedly. "We don't have a choice," Lily replied. "Can you get any messages to my parents or other adults?" "I'll try. But be careful, Lily. General Kraz Fall has killed his own soldiers for smaller problems than what you're causing." Back at the base, the children formed their plan. Noah had been studying the colony systems. "I can control the water supply," he said proudly, "and the air conditioning, lights, everything." "Perfect," Lily smiled. "Here's what we'll do." The next morning, the Vraxians woke to find their water tasting strange. Not dangerous, just unpleasant. The colony lights flickered randomly. In the command center, computers showed incorrect readings. General Kraz Full stalked through the corridors, his temper growing worse by the hour. "Fix these problems," he shouted at his technicians. One brave officer spoke up. "General, these may not be system failures. The patterns suggest deliberate." The general grabbed him by the throat. "Are you suggesting someone is sabotaging us?" "Impossible. The humans are contained, and no other species would dare challenge the Vraxian Empire." That night, the children went further. Noah programmed the maintenance robots to move around the colony at random, making noises and then shutting down. Zach and the twins placed small devices that Dr. Winters had helped create. Simple things that made high-pitched sounds that bothered Vraxian ears but were almost silent to humans. Olivia led Lily through a tight vent to the main communications room. While the Vraxian officer dozed at his post, Lily carefully recorded his voice commands with her translator. "Got it," she whispered. The device had stored the sound patterns the Vraxians used to access secure systems. As they crawled away, Olivia pointed to another vent. "That goes to the weapons storage," she whispered. Lily shook her head. "We're not trying to hurt anyone, just make them leave." By morning, the Vraxians were jumping at shadows. Strange noises came from walls. Equipment moved on its own. Messages appeared and disappeared on screens. General Kraz Full called his officers together. 6 days until transport ships arrive. I want these malfunctions fixed." One officer nervously suggested, "General, what if it's the missing human children?" The room fell silent. Kraz Full's eyes narrowed. "Children? You think children are outsmarting Vraxian soldiers? They are small enough to access areas we cannot," the officer pointed out. "Then find them," Kraz Full roared. "Search every pipe, every vent." The children watched this meeting on their screens. "They're looking for us now," Sam said fearfully. "Good," Lily replied. "That means our plan is working." "They're getting scared." Noah looked up from his computer. "I found something important. The holding pens where they're keeping our parents. I can override the lock systems." Lily's heart beat faster. "How soon?" "I need 2 more days to figure it out completely." Lily nodded. "Then we have work to do, and we need to be extra careful now that they're looking for us." Little did General Krasful know, his troubles were just beginning. Vraxian soldiers crawled through the colony's maintenance areas, their large bodies barely fitting through the human-sized spaces. They carried scanning devices and weapons, searching for the missing children. "They're in the east section now," Noah warned, watching the security feeds. "We need to move." The children quickly packed their essential items. Lily grabbed her stuffed rabbit and translator. Zach collected their food. The twins gathered the tools and devices they had built. Olivia rolled up her maps, and Noah disconnected his computers. "Follow me," Olivia whispered. She led them through a series of turns and narrow passages that weren't on any colony blueprints. "My mom showed me these. They're repair access ways that were never properly marked." They set up a new base in an old water treatment room that had been closed off during colony upgrades. It was damp and cold, but safe. 5 days until the transport ships, Lily reminded everyone, "We need to do more than just annoy them now." Zach had been thinking about Dr. Winter's information. If they need lots of water, what if we mess with the water supply? Noah nodded excitedly. "I can redirect water away from their quarters and the command center. And I can program the environmental controls to make it extra hot where they are," added Maya, who had been learning computer skills from Noah. Lily smiled. "Perfect. And I have another idea." Through Dr. Winters, they learned that General Krasful would inspect the prisoner area the next day. Lily decided it was time for the Vraxians to hear a human voice. That night, they worked on their biggest plan yet. Noah hacked into the colony's announcement system. Maya and Sam prepared special sound files. Zach and Olivia set up more of the high-frequency devices near Vraxian's sleeping quarters. Morning came. General Krasful strode toward the holding pens, 4 armed guards beside him. The human prisoners watched in fear as the massive alien approached. Suddenly, the colony speakers crackled to life. A child's voice echoed through every room, speaking perfect Vraxian language. "Attention Vraxian forces," Lily's voice announced, using phrases she had recorded and her translator had converted. "You have violated Territory 7 protocols. Your presence has been reported to the Galactic Alliance. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." Krasful froze, his eyes wide. "What is this?" he demanded. His communication officer's voice came through his personal device. "General, we're receiving signals from outside the colony. Multiple signals." The children had programmed the colony's communication dishes to send out random signals that would appear on Vraxian scanners like approaching ships. "Impossible," Krasful hissed. "The humans have no allies in this sector." As he rushed back to the command center, the temperature rose sharply. The water stopped flowing in all Vraxian areas, and high-pitched sounds began emanating from the walls, sounds that made the Vraxians cover their ears in pain while the human prisoners heard nothing unusual. In the command center, chaos reigned. Screens showed approaching ships that weren't really there. Communication systems failed. The lights flickered and changed to colors that hurt Vraxian eyes. "Find the source of this deception," Krasful roared, smashing a control panel with his fists. From their hidden base, the children watched on screens and tried not to laugh. "It's working," Noah whispered. "They think we have powerful friends coming to help us." But their victory was short-lived. A Vraxian security officer noticed a small movement in a vent, Olivia checking on one of their devices. He fired his weapon, blasting the vent open. "There," he shouted. "I saw one of them." Olivia scrambled back to safety, but now the Vraxians had a location to start searching. "They'll find this section soon," Lily said worriedly. "We need to move again." As they gathered their things, Noah looked up from his computer. "I've almost got the holding pen locks figured out. One more day." Lily made a difficult decision. "We need to split up. Noah, you and Maya keep working on the locks. The rest of us will create distractions far from here." What had started as simple tricks had become a real battle, a battle of wits between desperate children, and an increasingly unhinged alien general. General Kraz stood in the command center, his forearms clenched into fists. 3 days remained until the transport ships arrived, and everything was falling apart. "Report," he growled at his officers. "We've lost control of colony systems," one said nervously. "Water, temperature, lights, all operating independently." "Communications remain disrupted," added another. "We cannot contact the fleet." "And the prisoners?" Kraz demanded. "Secure for now, but we've had to move guards from the search teams to guard them." Kraz slammed his fist on the table. "Find whoever is doing this. I want them brought before me." Meanwhile, the children had split into 2 groups. Noah and Maya remained hidden near their new base, working on the holding pen locks. Layli, Zach, Sam, and Olivia moved through the colony, setting up devices and creating distractions far from Noah's location. "Ready?" Layli asked, holding up a small recording device Dr. Winters had smuggled to them. Zach nodded. "Let's do it." They activated the colony's emergency alert system. Throughout the colony, red lights flashed and alarms blared. Then Layli's recorded voice spoke in Vraxian language. "Warning. Environmental containment failing. Toxic atmosphere detected. All Vraxian personnel evacuate sectors 3 through 7 immediately." From their hiding place, the children watched as Vraxian soldiers rushed from their posts, abandoning the search areas. The aliens' faces showed genuine fear. Their species was highly sensitive to airborne toxins. "It's working," Sam whispered excitedly. In the confusion, Dr. Winters managed to speak with several trusted adults. The human prisoners began their own quiet resistance, following her instructions to prepare for possible escape. Back in the command center, Kraz wasn't fooled for long. "There are no toxins," he roared after checking the environmental sensors. "This is another trick." He grabbed a junior officer by the throat. "You fled your post because of a false alarm. You disgrace the Empire." The other officers watched in horror as Kraz threw the junior officer across the room. "The next soldier who fails me will suffer worse," he threatened. The mood among the Vraxians shifted. Some began to whisper that the general was losing control. Others wondered if the colony was actually haunted by spirits. Fear spread through their ranks. At their hidden workstation, Noah finally broke through the security system. "I've got it," he told Maya. "We can open the holding pens remotely." Maya contacted Layli through the small communicator they had built. "We did it. We can free the adults." "Not yet," Layli replied after thinking. "If we free them now, the Vraxians will just recapture them. We need to create more chaos first." That night, the children implemented their boldest plan. Noah hacked into the colony's holographic system, normally used for entertainment and education. He programmed it to project giant shadowy figures that would appear and disappear throughout the colony. At midnight, the first hologram appeared, a massive, vaguely humanoid shape that loomed over a Vraxian patrol. The soldiers fired their weapons at it, but the shots passed through the image. More holograms appeared, surrounding Vraxian positions. Strange sounds echoed through the halls, recordings of Earth animals like wolves and lions that the aliens had never heard before. Through the announcement system, Lily's translated voice spoke again. "Vraxian forces, this is your final warning. Release all human prisoners immediately." In the command center, Kraz watched the security feeds with growing rage and fear. "What are these creatures?" he demanded. "How did they get inside the colony?" His second-in-command hesitated. "General, I believe they are not real. They appear to be projections." "Projections." Kraz grabbed the officer by his uniform. "You think technology is creating these? Who could be operating this technology?" The officer couldn't meet his eyes. "The missing human children, perhaps." Kraz expression changed from rage to disbelief, then back to rage. "Children? You believe human children are defeating the might of the Vraxian Empire?" The children watching on their screens saw Kraz draw his weapon, and pointed at his own officer. "We're getting to him," Lily whispered. "Tomorrow, we make our final move." 2 days before the transport ships were due to arrive, General Kraz Full made a decision. He would personally lead a final sweep of the colony. No more sending soldiers who failed him. He would find whoever, or whatever, was causing this chaos. "Prepare my battle armor," he ordered. "Select 20 of our best warriors to accompany me." His second-in-command looked worried. "General, should you not remain at the command center?" Krasful's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Are you questioning my orders?" The officer quickly looked down. "No, General." The children had reunited at their hidden base. Together they watched Krasful suit up in heavy armor, his massive frame now even more intimidating. "He's coming to look for us himself," Zack said, his voice shaking. Lily nodded. "This is actually good. We need him away from the command center." Noah showed them his final work. "I can open all the holding pens from here, but the Vraxians will notice immediately." "Then we need the biggest distraction yet," Lily said. "And I know just what to do." She laid out her plan. The colony's geothermal plant powered everything. It was heavily guarded, but they could access it through maintenance tunnels too small for Vraxians. "If we set off alarms there, they'll think it's going to explode," Lily explained. "Everyone will rush there, even Krasful." "But we'll be trapped there too," Sam pointed out. Lily smiled. "Not if we set up our special surprise first." They spent hours placing their sound devices around the geothermal plant. These were stronger than before, designed to emit frequencies that would cause intense pain to Vraxian ears, but were harmless to humans. Dr. Winters had helped them understand exactly which frequencies would be most effective. She also passed a message that the adult prisoners were ready to act when the opportunity came. As night fell, Lily sent the message that triggered emergency warnings at the geothermal plant. Alarms blared throughout the colony. Red lights flashed. The automated system announced, "Critical failure imminent. All personnel evacuate to safe zones." Krasful and his search team immediately changed direction. "To the geothermal plant," he ordered. "Secure it at all costs." From their hiding spot in the plant's upper level, the children watched Vraxian soldiers rush in, Krasful at their center. The general was scanning everything, weapons ready. "Where are the technicians?" he demanded. "Who triggered these alarms?" A soldier checked the system. "No actual failure detected, General." "It appears to be." "Another false alarm," Krasful finished, his voice deadly quiet. "We've been lured here." Lily looked at her friends and nodded. Noah pressed a button on his tablet. At the same moment, Lily spoke into her translator, which broadcast through the plant speakers. "General Krasful," her translated voice echoed. "Your invasion ends now." The general spun around, weapons raised. "Show yourself." Noah activated their trap. All at once, every sound device they had planted came to life. The high-frequency noise was unbearable to Vraxian ears. Krasful and his soldiers dropped their weapons, falling to their knees, hands pressed to the sides of their heads. In that moment, Noah triggered the holding pen locks. Throughout the colony, the doors to the prisoner areas slid open. Dr. Winters led the adults in their prepared escape plan. Back at the geothermal plant, Lily stepped out from her hiding place. She walked slowly down the stairs until she stood before the kneeling general. She was tiny compared to him, even with him on his knees. Krasful looked up through his pain, his eyes widening at the sight of the small human child before him. "You?" he gasped, barely able to speak through the pain of the sound weapons. "A human child." Lily held up her translator so he could understand her words. "My name is Lily Carter. You took my parents. You took our home." She adjusted a dial, increasing the painful frequency. "Now you will give them back." Krasful, the feared general who had conquered worlds, stared in disbelief at the small human girl who had brought him to his knees. General Krasful struggled to rise, fighting against the painful sound. His soldiers lay around him, unable to move. The mighty Vraxian commander glared at the small human girl standing before him. "Turn it off," he growled through clenched teeth. "First, you will order your soldiers to leave our colony," Lily said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You will tell your fleet to cancel the transport ships." The general laughed, a harsh sound even through his pain. "You think I would surrender to a child? I would rather die." Lily turned the dial slightly higher. Krasful fell forward, his forehands pressed harder against his head. "Please," he gasped, "stop this sound." Throughout the colony, the freed humans were fighting back. Led by Dr. Winters and guided by the other children through their communication devices, they overwhelmed the confused Vraxian soldiers who had no idea what was happening. Jack and Susan Carter fought their way toward the geothermal plant, desperate to find their daughter. When they burst through the doors with a group of colony security officers, they stopped in amazement at the sight before them. Their 10-year-old daughter stood tall, facing the kneeling alien general who had terrorized them for weeks. "Lily!" Susan cried out. Lily glanced up, joy filling her face at seeing her parents, but she kept her focus on the general. "Order your soldiers to stand down," she repeated. Krasful looked up, seeing the human adults entering the room with captured Vraxian weapons. He understood that he had lost. He began, then stopped, his pride fighting against the need to end his pain. "I surrender," he finally said, the words clearly difficult for him. "Please stop this sound." Lily nodded to Noah, who reduced the volume slightly, enough to allow Krasful to think and speak, but not enough to let him fight back. "Send the orders," Lily demanded. With shaking hands, Krasful activated his communication device. He ordered all Vraxian forces to cease fighting and return to their ships. He sent a message to the approaching transport fleet to turn back. Jack Carter stepped forward and placed his hand on his daughter's shoulder. "You did it, Lily." The colony governor arrived with more security forces. They bound the Vraxian soldiers with restraints designed for their forearms. "What should we do with the general?" the governor asked. Everyone looked at Lily. After all she had suffered, after all the fear and danger, it seemed right that she should decide. Lily studied Krasful. The once proud general now looked defeated and angry, but there was something else in his eyes, a grudging respect. "He should return to his people," Lily said finally. "He should tell them that humans aren't weak, that even our children can defeat their greatest general." She stepped closer to Krasful. "You thought we were nothing because we're small. You thought children couldn't fight back. You were wrong." The governor nodded, impressed by the child's wisdom. "We'll send him and his soldiers back on one of their ships, but we'll keep their weapons." As the Vraxians were led away, Krasful stopped and turned to Lily. "You could have killed me," he said, puzzled. "Why didn't you?" Lily thought for a moment. "Because that's not who we are. Humans protect our home and our families, but we don't kill when we don't have to." Something changed in the general's eyes. "In thousands of years of conquest, no species has defeated me, then shown mercy. Perhaps humans are more than I understood." Later that day, the family was reunited in their home. The colony was damaged but standing. The Vraxian ships departed, leaving Earth's colonies in peace. As night fell, Lily sat with her parents, her stuffed rabbit on her lap. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked. Her father smiled. "I don't think so. Thanks to you, they now know that humanity isn't just another species to conquer. You taught them that even the smallest of us will fight for our freedom." Lily looked up at the stars through their window, thinking about the strange alien general who had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a determined human child. On his ship, heading back to the Empire, General Krasful looked at the receding human colony. For the first time in his long career, he would report that a planet should be left alone. Not because its people were too strong to defeat, but because they were too interesting to destroy.